Do you find yourself with nagging back pain, especially at the end of a long workday when you've been sitting for most of the day? Well, in this video, I'm going to give you 9 stretches that you can do in under 10 minutes that'll help you fix your back pain. And for the best results, I'd recommend doing this once in the morning after you wake up and once in the evening before you go to sleep. For the first stretch in this routine, I recommend just getting into a down dog pose and walking the dog. This will help you stretch out your calves, your hamstrings, your glutes, and if you allow your hips to rotate a little bit side to side, it'll really help open up both sides of your lower back. And from walking the dog, you can transition directly into a lunge with an opener on each side. So I recommend doing probably 10 to 15 of these on each side. Even 8 to 10 would work well. This will help you open up your upper and mid back. And it'll also stretch out your hip flexors in the front of your hips, which tend to be the muscles that get the tightest when you're sitting for long periods throughout the day. And they end up pulling on your spine because they're connected from the fronts of your hips to the backs of your spine. One thing that I personally like doing when I'm doing this is making sure that I'm pulsing each time I get into the lunge. That helps get just a little bit of that extra stretch on each side. By the way, my name's Andrew, and I'm a personal trainer, nutrition coach, corrective exercise specialist, and founder of Longevity Lifestyle. My mission is to empower people like you with information that'll help you live a longer, healthier, and happier life. From the lunges, you can transition directly into what most people refer to as the couch stretch. So I'm doing a variation here where my front arm's actually on the ground, and that's just due to having done this for a while. But I'd recommend as a starting point, just finding a couch or even a comfortable chair where you can allow your knee that's on the ground to sit on something comfortable, and you rest your back leg on that couch. This is what that might look like with a couch. And you're not letting your knee drift out too far. So you can actually see my left knee drifts out a little bit farther than my right knee here. That's just due to some tightness on that side. And from the couch stretch, you can get right into a reverse table. This is really going to help you activate your glutes. And you want to try and keep your knees roughly hip width apart, your toes aligned with one another, and you can even pulse back and forth. That typically helps me activate the glutes a little bit more. You really want to focus on keeping your hips thrust upwards and maintaining an even level of breathing while you're doing this. Then you can transition directly into a hamstring stretch. You obviously don't need to be able to reach your foot. Even if you can reach your knee, that's a starting point. But one of the main differences between what you typically see in a hamstring stretch and what I would recommend is doing these back openers. So having one hand on your front leg that you're actually stretching and the other hand reaching backwards behind your head to really kind of open up the back and the front of your chest. And I would recommend doing this on both sides. You can most certainly pulse while you're doing it and then transitioning directly into your piriformis stretch. So getting on the ground, keeping your back relatively flat on the ground, grabbing one leg and crossing it over the other, and then pulling that opposite knee into your chest to create pressure on the back of that leg that's across. And you can roll out your neck here, you can straighten your back, really just focus on breathing into it and trying to loosen up the back of your glute where your piriformis is. From the piriformis stretch, you can transition into what most people call 90-90s. These are a great way to open up your hips and your lower back. And the key here is to keep both of your knees in 90-degree angles and then rotate from side to side without using your arms and keeping your core engaged. So it can sometimes be helpful to keep your arms out in front of you and cup your fingers or cup your fists. But again, your main focus is just to keep your core engaged and take a second or two on each side just to really lean in and stretch out your hips and your low back. From the 90-90s, you can transition right into standard lunges. And there are 2 ways to do these. You can either have your knee on the ground or you can have your knee elevated. If you have your knee elevated, they're going to be more challenging. But these are a fantastic way to continue opening up the front of your hips, specifically your hip flexor muscles, especially if you're sitting throughout the day. This will be really beneficial to help prevent back pain. After the lunges, I like to end this routine by sitting down and trying to sit all the way down on my feet. So this is something that took me a while, and I would recommend progressing slowly through this, but really sitting back on your legs, stretching the front of your knees and opening up your quadriceps. This could be really, really helpful just to maintain your mobility and your knee health. I've had 2 hip surgeries, 2 knee surgeries, and 2 other meniscus tears that I repaired without surgery using this as part of the method. And over time, you can loosen up the fronts of your knees and the backs of your legs to the extent where you can actually lay on the ground like this. So this probably took me 6 months of doing this 3 times a week. So don't expect to do this right away. You don't even need to get to this level here, but I just wanted to show you what this could look like if you do it regularly, and it's fantastic for your knee health. So those are the main stretches that I recommend if you're trying to fix back pain, especially if you're sitting for long periods throughout the day. The benefits to a lot of those is that they'll also help relieve neck pain, hip pain, knee pain, some ankle pain. They're really extremely beneficial for the entire kinetic chain. As I said before, because this takes less than 10 minutes, I recommend trying to do it once in the morning and once in the evening. But once you've been doing it for a while, I think you'll see that your mobility and flexibility will improve to a degree that if you miss a day here and there, it's not to the end of the world, but it really should be helpful for your pain. Let me know if you have any questions or suggestions for other stretches you'd add to this. Obviously, you can substitute things in and out based on what you're looking to accomplish. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you on the next video.